Hey, welcome back to another episode of It's a Football Thing. As always, I'm your host, RJ, the Balanced Blue, joined by my fellow co-hosts and champion mates, Scott the Gooner, Rob the Red Devil. We are bringing to you, the listener, an episode based on the new age. Welcome to the new age, the youth, the future of football. Specifically, we're going to be talking about, are they priced too heavily? Are they priced appropriately? Is there too much buzz on the youth because of the fresh look and feel of the modern day footballer? Without further ado, boys, let's get stuck into it. Scott, I'll go to you first, my man. How you doing?
Yeah, doing well, man. Doing well. Ready to rip into this. I
Beautiful.
am a little bit of a traditionalist, and I think that it's gone a bit crazy at the moment. I'm probably going to sound like an old fella, but the values in terms of transfers, we've spoken about some of the rumours in this current window, the loan fee for Felix, the um, wages some of these guys are earning, Mudrik, a young Ukrainian from Shakhtar, and they're wanting 80 mil plus. Like, it's just crazy. I feel like the prices for the modern day young
Mm.
footballers has gone too far, and I think it's all about the social media hype, the marketability of football. I think it's nuts. Robbie, do you think it's crazy or what?
Look, mate, as a United fan, I know all about breaking records, paying ridiculous amounts of wages. I agree with you, man. I think it's crazy. If again the games change a lot compared to all the people we grew up with, the legends. What would they be on now? How much would they be worth? Your R9s of the world, etc., etc. But yeah, look, but I think it's just with money is in the game now. TV rights come in. You know, the media's there, journalism's there. We never had all that in the transfer market a long time ago, and that's part of the snowball effect as well, man. So you have a couple good games, you have a good World Cup, you go from never heard to 100 million, or you have a good season in the Europa League or in a foreign league. Bang, we want 50+ million for this guy, and 50 million's cheap now. I remember when we bring in Di Maria, only like in 2014. That was
Or
the British.
Fernando Torres, Robbie. Remember
Yeah,
him?
well,
50
well, it's it.
million.
Well, 50. Yeah, well, I think we paid just over that for Di Maria, and that was the British transfer record at the time. And then obviously we've seen Pogba come in, break the record again, and even this window, $100 million for an Anthony who is great, but we're paying for a ceiling that we don't know if he's going to hit. It's more in demand now. If clubs say we want this much and you want him, pay the money.
Hey,
Mm.
Barcelona signed Thierry Henry for £16 million. I know his
That's
contract was running out, but can you that's insane. That's RJ, as a Chelsea fan, man. You've seen some inflated fees in your times, but do you think it's got a bit crazier now for the youngsters?
Of course, it's crazy, but take your hats off for a moment. You brought up the words marketability, social media, ceiling. These are all very important today. We got to think about football as a product has never been at a higher value
Mm.
collectively. The Premier League is the most valuable league in the professional football world. So what does that mean? It means that all the assets, the players, are going to be priced appropriately. So if you're a Serie A, if you're the Bundesliga, you're the Liga, of course, you're going to take advantage as much as possible to soak as much dollars you can from the rich golden cow that is the Premier League. So do I agree with you boys? Of course I agree. But at the same time, if I'm if I'm a club in the Premier League, I'm a United or an Arsenal or a City, and I'm aspiring not only to win the Premier League because of the money it brings me, but it's all about trying to grow my brand, trying to hit the new markets that I haven't yet, because we've all got loyal fans in England. But what about the Asian market? What about the African market, the US market? And the best way to
Mm.
do that is to bring in these overpriced branded players. Because as you know, boys, if you're not on Instagram, if you're not Insta famous, you're nobody. So that's
That's
where I
it, mate.
stand on it.
Spot on. Well, look, let's bring up a list that you found the other day, talking about the most valuable footballers in the world at the moment. I'll zoom in on that a little bit, and we can go through it. Most valuable football players in the world. My man, Kylian Mbappe, 180 million. This is euro. Haaland at 170. Vinicius Junior 120, and you can see the list there. A lot of those players quite young. Obviously, Harry Kane stands out, not as young as the others, but we know that he's an exceptional striker. When I look at that list and I see Mbappe at the top, obviously as a supporter of the French national team as well, happy to see him there. But what do you make of it? Have they got that right? at the very least with Mbappe, Haaland, are they the next two that should be the most valuable? Or is there someone else that you think should be in those top two spots, Rob?
Look, 1 and 2 for me is pretty spot on, man. Like, I think these guys are the next big generational guy that have 10, 15 years at top level if they stay fit. Again, it's so crazy when you think about how you put a dollar sign on them. You know, PSG bought Mbappe for 180 million, and from then he's won a World Cup and he's only gone levels and levels, and he's still got probably a few more gears. So for me, it's actually probably worth more than 180 million in today's game, and I'm sure if a Premier League club wanted him one day, they'd have to probably pay more than that. Haaland, again, you know, considering what they paid from him from Dortmund, they actually got him at a pretty decent price. I know his contract was running out as well, but mate, he's doing it crazy, breaking records, not even halfway through the season, goal scoring records in the Premier League. We've seen what he does in the Champions League. You know, if you want a striker, you got to pay big money, and I'd say he's got to be close to that as well, man. So it's just crazy to also think that PSG hold the two records. They bought they bought Neymar for 225 million, and he's not even on the list. So they're not really going to get any money back for him.
Nah, RJ, what shocks you, man?
Well, just recapping that little fun fact that Robbie shared, that's absolutely spot on because I've thought about the Neymar documentary as well. But goals win games, right? So you know the superstars, Mbappe and Haaland, it's a lot of pressure on these young guys who have already, to an extent, demonstrated not to justify the value, but at least to justify the hype behind the value. And to an extent, some of these prices are what their predecessors have had. So if you were to put this quote or this list to the Messis, the Ronaldos of the world, they would be at the top because of their freakish goal scoring ability. So I think it's fair to have them as 1 and 2. It's interesting, Vinicius Jr., I think a lot of that is due to what he's done in terms of the Champions League. He did show some promising signs in the World Cup. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve to be in and around this list, but I compare him to some other people on here. I'm not so sure that from 3 onwards they've struck the right order in terms of their values here.
All right, tell me how you changed it then, RJ. How do you change this up, man?
Well, I think this seems very attacking heavy in terms of how they value this. So I look at players like in terms of I think their perceived importance. I look at your Gavis, I look at your Tchouaménis as the fulcrum of a team, being the midfielders. We all got love for midfielders here. I think their actual value to the team will be higher than what Vinicius Jr. on his own will be for Real Madrid. So I'd probably look to swap them around. And Musiala, man, I've got really big raps on him. I could see him easily jumping 2 or 3 spots on this list in a couple of years' time when this gets reassessed.
So who would you put in third place then, RJ?
At this stage, I would probably say, look, I don't think it's wrong at this stage because he's a Champions League winner. But if I had to say take him out because he's not number 3 anymore, I would probably... No, I wouldn't put Saka in third. For raw potential and everything that goes with it, I'd actually throw in Jude Bellingham just because of what I've seen with England and what I do believe in his potential overall.
Robbie, sorry, I know you've got big dibs on Bellingham. Is he the man who should be third most expensive on this list? English tax as well.
100% agree with this. Like I said, we know how much I talk this kid up, and I honestly, RJ just even spoke about midfielders being integral part of a team. This guy's a genuine box-to-box number 8. He helps in defense. He scores goals. He assists. He does the dirty work. He's got youth on his side. He's got, he's in a top league, in the German team.
Ticks all the boxes, Rob.
Champions League experience, came through the City Academy. We've got to also remember that, as much as I don't like City. But if this guy does come to one of the Premier League clubs and takes his game to the next level, mate, the sky really is the limit for him. I really rate him. And look, we see him at the World Cup have started for England every time and performed, got a few goals. Really rate him, and I think in that 3rd, 4th spot, a lot of these players have got youth on their side, man. That's what
100%.
Really, you look there. I really like your Gavi. I really rate him. 90 million. But Bukayo Saka, man, here's another one. He's got everything, He's got goals.
Especially
he's got
if Arsenal win the Premier League this season.
100%, man. It's so hard, man. Like, you look at your Phil Fodens. He was like, your Jude Bellingham and Phil Foden. Phil Foden was Jude Bellingham 5 years ago. You know what I mean? So it's just hard to say. Has he gone to the next level? Is he holding back? And then you also look at Jack Grealish got buying for 100 million last season. For me, nowhere near $100 million player. Same with Harry Maguire.
Look, for me as an Arsenal fan, obviously I've got a vested interest in Saka. I think he is very deserving of being on this list and with this company. He's a player who I don't think gets enough respect from rival fans. I know you boys both rate him, but I just don't think he gets spoken about in the same circles as your Pedris, your Fodens, your Gavis, all those kind of guys. And I think he's more than deserving, mate. He's got everything in his game, and he can defend too. Don't forget, under Emery, he played left back, and he did a great job. So he's quite an all-round player. I think he's got a good personality, good attitude as well. Everyone that meets him talks him up. So I think he's one to watch for the future as well. Looking maybe at some players that aren't on this list, I want to ask you boys, around that 90 million euros seems to be the bottom tier on here. Give me a player not on this list that you think could slot in there.
Robbie?
Chuck him under the bus. Why don't you?
No, I have mine. Like, if I talk Chelsea, non-Chelsea, I do think not so long ago, the likes of Mason Mount and Reece James would definitely be in this category. I know Reece's injury concerns maybe put a question mark on that, but he's 22. And Mason Mount's three-time winner of Chelsea Player of the Season and had an absolutely unbelievable Champions League run. So I could see him being around that mark. And outside of Chelsea, I'd say it's a tough one. Young players. He doesn't have to be young players, I suppose, but I just like to think naturally youth. So I don't know now. I could obviously, do you look at the World Cup and say players like Alvarez? Does he look to be someone there that gets to slowly there? I know he's the second choice, but he's the second choice behind the person second on this list. So you can see where I'm coming from there.
Look,
I think happy. Oh, go on, Robbie.
No, look, I think form comes into stuff as well, man. Like, if just say True Enemy or, of Valverde, if they don't have a spectacular season, yes, there are two big clubs there, but if Real Madrid overall get knocked out of the Champions League, maybe don't win the Liga, and they don't, their price will drop straight away. And and then you look at someone like now, your Rashford, you're talking about 90 million in that next tier. He's still got youth on his side. If United were looking at buying a Rashford right now, how much do you think would be paying for Rashford? At least 90 million euros, at least 90 million. He's got pace, he's got goals, he's got assists, he's in an English national team. I'm just using him as an example, obviously, as a United fan. But if we were going to be, okay, we're going to go in the January transfer window for a goal scorer, like PSG, obviously he's only got a 1-year contract extension, PSG would be happily enough to come in and get someone like him. And he's in the same bracket as your Saka's for me. So there's a lot of players that are probably in that little bracket, next one down. But Harry Kane, what do you think of him at 90 million?
Look, I mean, RJ said it earlier, goals win games, and he's a guaranteed goal scorer. You can't argue with the fact he's an excellent creative force. He's great aerially. He's good with his feet. I don't think anyone would sign Harry Kane for less than, and this is euros as well, don't forget.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think anyone would sign him for less than 90 million euro. I think it's fair. He probably just stands out because of the age gap.
Yeah.
RJ, what do you reckon?
Yeah, no, I think Harry Kane definitely deserves to be spoken about as one of the elite strikers. But then you look at other elite strikers, and maybe this is where the age factor hurts them. Like, we know the potency of your Lewandowski's. What about the golden ball winners, the golden boot winners or whatever, your Messi's? Because they're older, their value takes a massive tank. So I think this list obviously is partially driven by their longevity or how long they can stretch themselves out. So Kane's definitely on the back end of that. But there are some other top quality players when you think about each team that could push that 90 million mark, no problem.
For me, I'd chuck Martinelli in there. I think he's a hot property, man. I couldn't see anyone signing him for much less than that. We've got a good young core. Boys, I want to kind of wrap this one up. And if you're watching this back, let us know if you change the order of the list, if you think there's someone else who should be there. If you were happy with Harry Kane being on the list, make sure you leave a like and leave a comment too. That really helps the channel. But the final kind of question from me to you boys. We know that the modern day footballer is very pricey, very expensive. It's all about the marketability. It's about the Instagram as well. Is this a result of the Leo Messis and Cristiano Ronaldo? Is it a result directly of the era of those two legends? Or is this just natural with the times? RJ?
In terms of the list and getting inflated prices?
Yeah, do you think these inflated prices are a result of them?
I think it's more of a function of FIFA and UEFA and the Premier League starting to better realize their worth. And because you've artificially, you've more realized your value as a whole, broadcasting and otherwise, the flow-on effect is players will become more expensive as a result. So I think it's more of a systemic evolution rather than two players being the juggernauts they are.
Fair shout. Robbie?
Yeah, look, I just think it's natural, mate. It's inflation. We'll be talking maybe in another 5 years that 100 million is the going rate for a lesser tier 3 player now, and that it could be your 200, 250 million players for your top tier players. It's just going to go up and up. Wages are going to go up and up. TV rights are going to go up and up, mate. So the more in demand, the more money they can spend.
Fair shout. All right, make sure, again, you leave a like on the video. Drop a comment. We really love reading those. We'll always get back to you. But until then, take care, watch your value, and enjoy your football. Look after yourselves.